You open the message, fingers trace the screen, seeking a reply that never lands. Each tap, a quiet plea for their gaze. You rewrite, refine, soften your words, believing clarity will earn their nod. It doesn't. The screen stays dark, a void you keep returning to. You adjust, you shift, you mold yourself to fit their silence. Each change, a step deeper into the same loop. You think, one more try, and they'll see, but they don't. The weight settles, not in their absence, but in your waiting. Why keep typing when their silence has answered? What drives you to craft another line? As if words could pull them back. You know the pattern, the cycle, the cost, yet you repeat it. Each attempt, a thread you weave into a net that traps you. You chase their priority and lose your own. The system phrase, not in their choice, but in yours, to stay. You give, they take. You wait, they move on. Each effort carves a hollow, not in their heart, but in yours. The weight of invisibility grows, not because they turned away, but because you keep turning toward them. You offer your ground, and they walk over it. The crack widens, silent, unseen, eating away at your line. You seek their eyes, but lose your own. The trap isn't their silence. It's your belief that you can fill it. Seneca said, "It's not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." A rope you clutch burns only your hands. The tighter you grip, the deeper the scar. You pull, and it binds you. You seek their priority, but surrender your own. The system doesn't break loudly. It erodes in the quiet, where you keep returning to their shadow. Are you still waiting, or have you always been waiting? When did you decide their silence outweighs your ground? You stand at the edge, not because they pushed, but because you keep stepping forward. You think their nod will steady you, but what if the ground you seek is already beneath you? What if their absence isn't your verdict, but your chance to see? Priority isn't given, it's claimed or lost. The mirror waits, but you choose what it reflects. The weight you carry isn't theirs, it's yours. The next cut reveals where you stand. You think explaining will fix it. You craft the perfect words, each one measured, believing they'll see your worth. If you're clear, if you're honest, they'll turn back. That's the logic, isn't it? You type, you pause, you delete, you type again. Each word, a bridge to their attention. You tell yourself, one more try, and they'll understand. The screen stays blank, their silence louder than your effort. You refine, you clarify, you plead in silence, but they don't respond. Their silence isn't your failure, it's their choice. You build bridges, they cross elsewhere. You offer clarity, they choose fog. The more you explain, the more you hand them your ground. You think you're reaching them, but you're only sinking deeper into emptiness. Each sentence, a weight you add to your own chain. You chase their understanding and lose your own line. The trap isn't their absence. It's your belief that words can fill it. You've walked this path before. You know the cost. Each word you send binds you tighter to a loop you built. You offer, they take. You wait, they move on. The system phrase, not because they didn't hear, but because you kept speaking, explaining, isn't connection. It's surrender to a pull you fed too long. Their priority isn't yours to earn. It never was. The weight you carry is yours to release. Seneca said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Their silence isn't your puzzle to solve. It's their path, not your burden. Each word you withhold reclaims a piece of your weight. You don't need their nod to stand. The urge to explain is a chain. Break it by stepping back. You don't owe anything. The loop tightens until you choose to pause. The next strategy cuts deeper still. Strategy 1. Stop explaining. You draft the message. Fingers tracing familiar paths across the screen. You rewrite, refine, each word a silent plea for their gaze. You think, if it's perfect, they'll see your worth. You hit send and wait. The screen stays dark, their silence louder than your effort. You explain again, crafting another line, believing one more try will shift their gaze. It doesn't. You've walked this path before. The same loop, the same ache, the same weight. You know the cost, yet you return. Each sentence you offer hands them your ground. You think you're building a bridge, but you're only carving a hollow. The more you clarify, the deeper you sink into their absence. You give words, they take space. You chase their approval and lose your own line. The system fails, not because they didn't hear, but because you kept speaking. Explaining isn't connection. It's surrender to a pull you've fed too long. You offer clarity, and they offer nothing. The trap isn't their silence. It's your belief that you can fill it. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." Their silence isn't your puzzle to solve. It's their choice, not your burden. Each word you withhold reclaims a piece of your weight. You don't need their understanding to stand. The urge to explain is a chain. It binds you to a place you've already left. You think their nod will steady you, but their absence is not your verdict. The ground you seek is already yours. Say less. Let their silence speak. When the impulse comes, to type, to plead, pause. Feel the pull, sharp, heavy, familiar, and let it pass. Their priority isn't your anchor. You don't build yourself by filling their gaps. Step back, breathe through the urge. The space you leave isn't empty, it's yours. Hold it. Their response, or lack of it, doesn't define your place. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. You don't have to react. A wave crashes. You don't chase it, you stand. The tide pulls, but you hold your ground. Strategy 2. Release the need to be seen. You stand in their shadow, seeking their light. You linger, hoping their glance will anchor you. You adjust. You shift. You mold yourself to fit their frame. Each change, a silent bargain for their attention. You tell yourself, if you're enough, they'll see. But they don't. Their eyes pass over, and you're left grasping at shadows. The void grows, not because they looked away, but because you kept reaching. You chase their gaze and lose your own. Their indifference isn't your measure. You think visibility is power, but invisibility is only what you allow. Each attempt to be seen erases the line that holds you. You offer your ground, and they walk over it. The system breaks when you trade your weight for their approval. You don't need their eyes to exist. You never did. The trap isn't their absence. It's your belief that their nod defines you. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." You build their rejection larger than it is. Each moment you seek their nod, you hand them your weight. You craft their silence into a story of your failure. The urge to be seen is a chain you forge. It binds you to a shadow that isn't yours. Stillness is where you reclaim your ground. You don't need their light to stand. You carry your own. Step back. Let their gaze fall where it will. When the impulse comes to adjust, to plead, pause. Feel the pull. To be seen, to be enough, and breathe through it. Their eyes don't define your place. You do. Hold your ground, not for them, but for you. The space you create isn't empty. It's yours. Detach, and the shadow lifts. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. The void is where it clears. Seneca lost his wealth, his status, his home. Yet he wrote of freedom in the quiet of his mind. Strategy 3. Pause before chasing. You open the app, thumb hovering, ready to check again. Their story, their post, their silence. You tell yourself, just one look to know where they stand. You scroll, you wait, you refresh. Each tap, a step deeper into the same cycle. You chase, you hurt, you chase again. The loop tightens, not because they're gone, but because you keep following. You know the pattern, yet you return. The ache grows, not in their absence, but in your pursuit. Each glance pulls you further from your ground. You think checking will ease the ache. It doesn't. The screen lights up, but the void stays. You chase their shadow and lose your own weight. The system fails when you let their absence drive your hand. Chasing isn't clarity. It's surrender to a pull you've fed too long. You seek their priority and lose your own. The trap isn't their silence. It's your belief that you can catch it. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Their silence isn't your signal to move. It's your moment to pause. Each second you wait before tapping builds your line. You don't need their update to stand. The urge to chase is a chain. It binds you to a shadow that isn't yours. Stillness is where you break it. You don't need their presence to exist. Close the screen. Breathe through the pull. When the impulse comes to check, to follow, pause. Feel the urge, sharp, heavy, familiar, and let it pass. Their priority isn't your anchor. You don't find yourself in their absence. Step back. Hold the moment before you act. The space you create isn't empty. It's yours. Their silence doesn't own you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. Not chasing is power too. The rope burns. You grip tighter. The tide pulls. You hold on. Strategy 4. Refuse to cling. You hold the rope. It burns your hands. They pull away. You grip tighter. You think holding on proves your strength. You whisper to yourself, if you endure, they'll turn back. But they don't. Each tug tears deeper into your ground. You cling, not to them, but to the shadow of what was. The weight grows, not because they left, but because you stayed. You know the cost, yet you hold. They walk, you follow. They fade, you grasp. The reflex to hold chains you to their absence. You think clinging keeps you whole. It doesn't. Each moment you refuse to release, you lose your own line. You offer your ground, and they walk over it. The system breaks when you trade your stillness for their shadow. Detachment isn't defeat. It's reclaiming what's yours. The trap isn't their absence. It's your belief that you can hold it. You see two paths. One clings, hands raw, heart heavy. The other releases and stands. The first begs for their eyes. The second builds your own weight. Seneca said, "It's not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." You don't need their presence to exist. Their absence isn't your verdict. Let go and the rope falls. You don't need their nod to stand. Walk away, not to prove, but to be. When the urge comes, to hold, to chase, pause. Feel the pull, sharp, heavy, familiar, and let it pass. Their absence isn't your truth. You don't anchor yourself in their shadow. Step back, breathe through the pull. The space you leave isn't loss, it's yours. Hold it. Their priority doesn't define you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. Let go isn't weakness. 90% of thoughts repeat daily. Most lead nowhere. Strategy 5. Silence the overthink. Why didn't they reply? Was it something you said? You replay the moment, dissect each word, each pause. What did you miss? What could you have changed? The questions spiral, pulling you deeper into a maze with no exit. You tell yourself, if you understand, you'll find peace. But the noise grows louder, heavier. You think and think again, chasing answers that don't exist. You know the loop, yet you return. The ache grows, not in their silence, but in your pursuit. Each thought tightens the loop you built. You believe overthinking will solve the pain. It doesn't. The more you question, the more you drift from your ground. You search for their reasons and lose your own clarity. The system fails when you let the mind run where answers can't be found. Stillness isn't avoidance. It's cutting the noise. The trap isn't their absence. It's your belief that you can solve it. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." You craft their silence into a story of your failure. Each loop steals your weight. You build the maze larger than it is. The urge to think again is a chain you forge. It binds you to a shadow that isn't yours. You don't need to solve their absence to stand. Stillness is where you break it. You don't need their answers to exist. Let the question dissolve. When the impulse comes to replay, to analyze, pause, feel the pull, sharp, heavy, familiar, and breathe through it. Their silence isn't your puzzle. You don't find peace in their reasons. Step back, breathe. The space you create isn't empty. It's yours. Hold it. Their answers don't define you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. Silence isn't surrender. Why keep running? Because it hurts. Then, sit. Strategy 6. Reject pleasing. You say yes to avoid their silence. You nod. You agree. You bend. You think pleasing them will earn their nod. You whisper to yourself, if you're enough, they'll stay. But they don't. Each concession chips away at your ground. You give, they take. You adjust, they expect more. The weight grows, not because they asked, but because you offered. You know the cost, yet you return. Each yes erases your line. You believe pleasing builds connection. It doesn't. The more you give, the less you hold. You trade your weight for their fleeting approval. You offer your ground, and they walk over it. The system collapses when you let their wants override your own. Self-command isn't sacrifice. It's standing where you are. The trap isn't their silence. It's your belief that you can fill it. Epictetus said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You don't need their agreement to exist. Their approval isn't your anchor. You craft their nod into your worth. Each moment you bend, you give them your ground. You don't need their eyes to stand. Say no, not to them, but to your own erasure. The urge to please is a chain. Break it by stepping back. Refuse their pull. When the impulse comes to please, to soften, pause. Feel the urge, sharp, heavy, familiar, and breathe through it. Their approval isn't your truth. You don't build yourself by shrinking. Step back, breathe through the impulse. The space you hold isn't empty. It's yours. Their priority doesn't define you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. You don't owe anything. The void whispers. You don't have to fill it. You stand, and it holds. Strategy 7. Face the emptiness. You run. It follows. You hide. It grows. You fill the silence with noise, with plans, with anything. Emptiness waits. You tell yourself, keep moving, keep busy, and it won't catch you. But it does. Each step away pulls you deeper into its shadow. You avoid, and it festers. The weight builds, not because it's there, but because you turn away. You know the cost, yet you flee. You think fleeing saves you? It doesn't. Each distraction tightens the loop. You drown the void with tasks, with screens, with thoughts. But emptiness isn't the enemy. Avoidance is. The system fails when you let fear drive your steps. Stillness isn't surrender. It's standing in the void and seeing it for what it is. The trap isn't the void. It's your belief that you can outrun it. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." You build the void larger than it is. Each moment you run, you give it power. You craft its weight heavier than it is. The urge to escape is a chain you forge. It binds you to a shadow that isn't yours. You don't need to fill it to stand. Stillness is where you break it. You don't need to flee to exist. Sit, breathe, let the void be. When the impulse comes to run, to hide, stay. Feel the pull, sharp, heavy, familiar, and breathe through it. Its weight isn't your verdict. You don't heal by fleeing. Step into it. See it. The space you face isn't loss. It's yours. Hold it. Their absence doesn't define you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. Stillness is enough. Marcus Aurelius faced loss, an empire's weight, yet wrote of clarity in silence. Strategy 8. Unhook from regret. You replay the moment again. Their words, your silence, what you should have said. You think, if you understand it, you'll fix it. You dissect, You question. You rewrite the past in your head. Each loop pulls you deeper into what's gone. You tell yourself, one more thought, and you'll let it go, but you don't. The weight grows, not because it happened, but because you keep holding it. You know the loop, yet you return. Regret isn't truth. It's a chain you forge. You think reliving it will change it. It doesn't. Each memory you clutch binds you to a moment you can't touch. You search for answers and lose your ground. The system fails when you let the past drive your mind. Unhook by seeing it, not reliving it. The trap isn't what happened. It's your belief that you can rewrite it. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." You build regret heavier than it is. Each thought you give steals your weight. You craft the past larger than it is. The urge to replay is a chain you forge. It binds you to a shadow that isn't yours. You don't need to solve the past to stand. Observe, and the chain falls. You don't need to relive to exist. Look at it, name it, let it pass. When the impulse comes, to question, to rewrite, pause, feel the pull, sharp, heavy, familiar, and breathe through it. Their actions aren't your verdict. You don't free yourself by holding tighter. Step back. Breathe through the loop. The space you create isn't empty. It's yours. Hold it. The past doesn't own you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. Pain doesn't mean truth. The chain breaks. You don't have to carry it. You stand and the ground holds. Strategy 9. Hold your own line. You wait for their nod to feel your worth. You soften your edges, hoping their glance will hold you. You shift. You adjust. You bend to fit their frame. Each change, a silent plea for their priority. You tell yourself, if you're enough, they'll see. But they don't. Their silence cuts deeper than words. You chase their approval and lose your ground. You know the cost, yet you return. Each effort erases your line. You think their gaze builds your weight. It doesn't. The more you seek their nod, the less you hold your own. You trade your place for their fleeting attention. The system fails when you let their absence define your stand. Inner weight isn't borrowed, it's claimed. The trap isn't their silence, it's your belief that you need their eyes. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You craft their silence as your failure. Each moment you wait, you give them your ground. You build their nod into your worth. The urge to seek is a chain you forge. It binds you to a shadow that isn't yours. You don't need their eyes to exist. Hold the line by standing where you are. You don't need their nod to stand. Stand, not for them, but for you. When the impulse comes, to adjust, to plead, pause. Feel the urge, sharp, heavy, familiar, and breathe through it. Their priority isn't your anchor. You don't build yourself by chasing their shadow. Step back, breathe through the pull. The space you hold isn't empty. It's yours. Their silence doesn't define you. You do. The weight you carry isn't theirs. It's yours to release. Detachment is a form of respect. The screen goes dark. No flicker, no pull. You sit, hands resting, the room silent. The urge came to check, to chase, to fill the void. You felt it, sharp, heavy, familiar, but you didn't move. You breathed. You let it pass. The quiet wasn't empty. It was yours. You didn't drown the silence with words, with noise, with regret. You didn't explain, didn't plead, didn't bend. The reflex stirred, but you held still. That moment, unseen, unspoken, carried weight. Not their weight, yours. You stood in the quiet, and it didn't break you. The space you claimed wasn't loss, it was presence. You didn't chase their nod, you didn't seek their eyes. You held your ground, and the world didn't end. What lingers when you stop chasing their priority? When you refuse their shadow and face your own? You didn't react, but was it strength or just a pause before the pull returns? The line you held, is it yours or borrowed until the next urge? You stood, but will you stand again? Silence is where you begin again.